Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the Beretta 92A1. Those of you who followed my channel know that I'm very much an M9 fan. I really do like the 92 series pistol, the M9 pistol. This is a rather uncommon version. They're definitely on Beretta's webpage. They're certainly in production, but it's not necessarily the same as the M9A1. Now, what we're going to do is, this is not really on the M9, this is on the 92A1. I'm just going to give you a quick overview on the M9 pistol from its evolution from the M9 to the M9A1 to the Model 92A1. First off, we have the traditional M9 pistol. This is a standard U.S. service M9 pistol that was just replaced by the M17. The main features on here is we have the open slide. We have a decocker manual safety. We have a hammer drop. We have a live cartridge indicator on the extractor. We have this is something latch release button. We have a double single. We have a 15-shot magazine. And we have a total open slide, which eliminates possibility of feed jams and failures to eject. Very durable, very reliable pistol. It's legendary. It's been used throughout the world. The reliability is second to none. These pistols have documented over 85,000 rounds through them. It's an excellent pistol. Now, this is the version that was used by the U.S. military. The Marine Corps had decided at the onset of the Global War on Terror that they required something a little bit different. Their requirements were a little bit more bold, would you say, than the standard M9 pistol, and thus came out the requirement for the M9A1. Now, the M9A1 is what's referred to as a COTS pistol, or a commercial off-the-shelf pistol. What that means is the M9 Beretta is manufactured according to the M9 technical data package for the U.S. government, meaning every M9 that's produced has to adhere to that technical data. No changes are allowed without permission for the U.S. government. No changes are allowed without the U.S. government. This is the way the Beretta has to deliver the pistol. Now, with it being a commercial off-the-shelf pistol, the Beretta pistol was not obligated to the standards of the M9 pistol. They could make the changes that they want, and they would buy them. It's basically a completely separate pistol that wasn't part of the standard M9 chain. So some of the requirements that the Marines had that they wanted was, first off, they wanted an accessory rail. They wanted to be able to mount a flashlight. So that was very, very important. Now, this is not necessarily a 1913 rail due to the fact you only have one slot, and the dovetail is quite different. So it's not a standard 1913 rail. In fact, if you were to try to put some of the flashlights on, you have a problem because of the way the location of this stop notch is. It won't sit all the way back. The second major one was the trigger guard, as you see here. If you were to compare the trigger guard of the M9 pistol on the bottom to the top one, you can see how much more beef there is here. Now, the reason basically was for compliance. They had to strike somebody with the trigger guard, they weren't going to bend it. So it's a lot more on the durable side. The next thing that they wanted was, as you can see here, the M9, you see the striations on the back strap. You see the checkering on the M9A1 as you see here. So you see the back strap, and then you'll see the front strap as well. They wanted a little bit more aggressiveness there as far as keeping the hand steady under adverse conditions. Now, there's another very big benefit that came along with this being a COTS gun. One of the issues that the Beretta M9 pistols has had is the breaking of the locking blocks due to the way the locking system works. Instead of having a Browning type linkless where you have the barrel drop down and the slide come back, the locking block drops down, unlocks, allows the slide to come back. That does give you a lot nicer of a recoil. It gives you more than a push than a snap. It's a very nice mechanism. Due to the fact that pistols are not maintained properly, a lot of issues come up as far as their durability. One is the fact that they don't replace the recoil springs at 5,000 rounds or so, as the manufacturer suggests. Also, they don't replace the locking blocks. Now, when you have pistols that are not maintained, you don't know how long it's been since they've been used. You have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 plus rounds through them. You don't even know it. The locking blocks can break. Now, Beretta over the years has manufactured, I would say at least probably 3 to 4 engineering upgrades, making the locking blocks more durable. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the M9 was off the original technical data from 1985, it still requires the original locking block. Now, having a COTS pistol, you are allowed to have the most modern, up-to-date parts. So the locking block is several generations better than the standard one for the M9, meaning this is much more durable. Not getting into too much detail, but some of the changes are the lock pin is the diameter was decreased. Therefore, the slot that the lock pin goes into on the locking pin and the locking block is narrower. Therefore, you have more material left in there for more durable. And also, the wings on the locking block, the lugs per se, are stress relieved, which makes a major difference as well. So those were some of the updates that the M9A1 was allowed to have that the M9 didn't. Now, when we say M9A1, we're not talking about the U.S. government M9. M9A1 is Beretta's designation. And talking about A1, what does A1 mean? When you put an A1 next to any U.S. government designation, that means enhancement or upgrade. Like, M16, A1, A2, A3, A4. It means it's a step up. So basically you have a step up from the M9 to the M9A1, even though the M9A1 is per Beretta, not per U.S. government. The U.S. government does not have an M9A1 pistol. Next comes what's referred to as the 92A1. Not M9A1, but 92A1. This is a rather interesting pistol. To give a call to Brendan at the gun room, this is one of the pistols that he's loaned us for us to be able to do a review on. And I have to say, Brendan, you're going to be very lucky to get this pistol back. I actually really, really like it. These are my two pistols here, and this one's got some really neat changes that were done to it that we're about to go over. Now, again, A1 means improvement, so we have the 92A1 improvement. Now, first off, this is an Italian Beretta. These two pistols here are U.S. made. This was made in Italy, and one of the ways we can tell that is we have the serial number on the frame, on the slide, as well as on the barrel. And another thing you should notice about the Beretta pistols is when you look at the muzzle, you'll be able to see the chroming going on the outside. It's a little different from the way the chroming is done in the American-made guns. And you'll also see that it says on here, Pietro Beretta, Gardone Valtrampia, made in Italy. So this is an Italian Beretta. Now, people often say, is there a difference in quality between the American-made and the Italian Berettas? And my answer is no, and this is the reason. The same machines that are used in Italy are used here. The same manufacturing processes are here. The same materials are here. It's the same engineers out of Italy that set these machines up. So everything is the same. You have the same Brunaton finish in the Italian guns as you do on the American-made guns. So it's similar to the similar situation with the Glock Austrian versus the Glock US. It's all the same equipment made by the company in Europe. So when you look at these pistols, you want to see a difference in quality between the two of them. Let's start going over some of the changes on the Beretta 92A1 versus the M9A1, for example. First off, what we're going to take a look at is the front sight. As you can see, the front sight on the M9A1 is part of the slide. It's machined part into the steel. If you look over at the 92A1 here, you will see a dovetail. What this means on the 92A1, you can remove the front sight and replace it, say you want with tritium or whatever else. You'll also notice on the top of the slide, the way it's machined, you have much more of a flat on the Beretta 92A1 pistol than you do on the M9A1, as you see here. This more than likely has a lot to do with the way it milled out the front here, or whatever else, but this is it's a little bit more of a nicer sculpture, I think, having the flat on here versus the standard. Next that we're going to look at is the accessory rail. M9A1 over here, 92A1 right here. You notice we have an actual mill-stator 1913 dovetail and two stop notches, which enables you to use 1913 rail components, flashlights, lasers, whatever you would need. This is another way we can tell this is a Beretta Italy pistol. We have all the proof marks located on here as well. Now we're going to look at the trigger guards. We have the M9A1 on top. As I said, the Marine Corps wanted a more durable trigger guard for compliance reasons. And we look down here, we see a rounded trigger. Now, why would we have a rounded trigger? Well, I'm sure if we were to ask Beretta USA why would we have that, they would just simply say one thing: it'll look nice. Well, I think it does look nice, but I think a lot of it comes from the traditional. This is the same kind of trigger guard that was on the original Beretta 92 SB, the traditional Beretta prior to the M9A1. The original SBF and then the M9, 92F, 92FS, this was the trigger guard which had the front serrations on here. And this was what's been used primarily. So we went from this to the Marine Corps, and now we're going back to the original with it being rounded. Next thing we're going to take a look at is that this is something latch release button. We have the standard on the M9A1. If you look on the 92A1, you'll see we have a round button. Now, it's a little bit easier to use in this, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it is something different. Now, for a little bit of unpleasantness, depending on your standpoint, the original M9 pistol and everything before that had a metal trigger and mainspring housing. And you also had a steel spring guide. On the M9A1, as well as the 92A1, as of all current production Berettas, we have polymer recoil spring guides, we have polymer mainspring housings, and we have polymer triggers. Now, is that being cheap? I don't know. I think for the most part, these are non-stress parts where it doesn't cause any problem. But it does decrease weight, it does decrease a little bit of cost, and they're not high-stress components. So the 92A1 has those same components. if that really, really bothers you, you do have the ability to buy the original parts if you so choose. Next thing we're looking at is 3 different generations of magazines. First off, we have the original generation, or the original 1985 mil-spec magazine. We have a steel magazine with an aluminum follower. Next, we go over to the Beretta M9A1 magazine. Again, a COTS magazine. We have grooves in here for use to increase reliability in the sand. And we also have a nickel-type finish to help reduce sand being able to stick to it, making the magazine more reliable. The 92A1 has a new magazine. This, instead of holding 15 rounds like the traditional, we have 17 rounds. Another improvement we have is basically what Brett was referring to as a Crud Group, which you see right here in the front. Now, this Crud Group just gives dirt and sand and stuff a place to go, sliding down the front of the magazine, which will also help increase reliability. As you can see, you'll have a thicker of a base plate, which obviously is needed for the extra 2 rounds. These magazines can be bought, extra as well. This is definitely a good enhancement. This would be a good enhancement for the M9. Unfortunately, the M9's been replaced, but this would have been a good replacement magazines for the US M9 pistol. So what we're going to do now is we're going to disassemble the pistols, and we're going to take a look at some of the changes on the inside. First, what we're going to see here is the spring guide and recoil springs. The original M9 TDP, we have a steel guide rod, and we have the standard recoil spring. Next, we have the M9A1 COTS, which you'll see the polymer spring guide, as well as a standard recoil spring. The 92A1, as you see here, is a captive system, much more like the modern, more like a modern pistol, a Glock, or so forth. Now, this is a major enhancement. This is something that I would like to see them offer across the board as a spare part. They may or they may not, I don't know. But this I sort of felt was a big deal for as far as the changes were concerned. One of the last features on here that is pretty incredible, I feel, is what they refer to as an internal frame buffer. And as you can see, it's this blue insert you see right here. What this does is when the slide comes back, the slide will impact that buffer prior to the slide impacting the rear of the frame. As you can see right here, when the slide comes back, the slide impacts this face here, and which is what halts that the slide makes it go forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you what exactly that does. And we're going to do a comparison to the standard M9. So as you can see, what we did here is we removed the barrel assembly and we just have the frame on the slide. So when the slide comes back, there's no internal frame buffer on this M9A1, so you're going to be able to hear that metal of the slide impact the aluminum on the frame by hitting it. So you can hear that metal on metal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 92A1 with the buffer, and now we're going to do the same thing. What you're going to hear is it's going to be impacting the polymer before it impacts the frame, which takes stress off of the frame, which is also going to enable this pistol to fire plus P ammunition without causing too much premature wear on the frame and the slide. So your stats between the M9, M9A1, and 92A1 are pretty much the exact same for as far as weight, length, and so forth. You're looking at a height of 5.4 inches from top of magazine to the top. You're looking at a length of 8.5 inches altogether. You're looking at a 4.9-inch chrome-plated steel barrel mil spec. So for as far as reliability, all these pistols are top of the line, they're top of the class, and they're legendary. The 92A1 has some really neat changes to it I like. I'd love to see sort of a mixture of all these features into similar to the M9A1 because I do prefer the checkering on the front and the back. One thing that's different on the newer Beretta pistols is the way you have this radius in here. If you were to compare it to the standard M9, you don't have that radius in there. The back is a lot different. It's more even. But you're seeing this on all of the newer production pistols. But I'd like to see one that has that kind of a checkering on the front and back strap. As far as the slide, I would love to see a Brigadier slide on here, and I would love to have a 1913 rail in the front. And I do like the stronger trigger guard. So I do like a lot of features, a lot of really nice features on here. I love to see put on one gun. I've been asked in the past, what's the ultimate Beretta? And for me, it would be basically what you would see is the M9A1 frame with a 1913 rail, with the Brigadier slide, and with some of the updates of the 92A1, such as the buffer that's in the frame. I just see the captive recoil spring, and so forth. There's some really, really good stuff there. Now, for as far as cost is concerned, this really isn't that much more than a standard M9. You're looking at $775, as an MSRP, which again I'm sure you could find them much less in the wild. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to take this thing and we're going to put a few rounds through. We're going to try a couple different kinds of ammunition in it as well. We're now going to try some American Eagle 115 grain Syntec ammunition. It's a polymer coated lead bullet to eliminate copper fouling. So I put roughly, I'd say 200-300 rounds through the gun. I didn't want to shoot too many rounds off in Brandon's gun. But I have to say I really, really liked it. This is something at some point I wouldn't mind putting into my collection because I do. I'm an M9 fan, quite frankly. You look at the X-M17 program or now M17 program for what they got. I would much rather seen them stay with M9 or go to an M9A3. But that's neither here nor there. This is a proven combat pistol. It served very well from 1985 right through, well, it was just replaced in 2017 or January 2018 this year. It served very, very well. People liked it. There is a video that I'd love to see you guys watch, which I found very, very interesting. It was by Mr. Guns and Gear. It was on his, why does my M9 pistol in the military not work and my commercial one does? And anybody who has questions about the M9 versus the U.S. version or commercial versions should really watch that. It really tells you the military's lack of maintenance has caused problems with their entire fleet. The problems that they've seen with M9s mostly come from guns that are not maintained. Their parts aren't replaced. It's sort of like taking your car out and running at 20,000 miles without changing the oil or without rotating the tires. Is a car a piece of garbage when it starts to fail? Or are you the moron because you didn't do the scheduled maintenance? Weapons are no different. If you don't maintain recoil springs every 5,000 to 7,000 rounds, you're going to cause premature wear on the frame and the slide. If you don't change out locking blocks, you're going to have a failure. All these guns have had these issues. So the major problem our U.S. military has is the same with everything. It's lack of maintenance. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.